and welcome back to VFX Tutors. I'm Josh, and in this tutorial we're going to be continuing with our basic lighting. We've been doing a lot of single lighting setups, trying to utilize the best sort of lighting situations with just the most basic single lights. And now we're going to start moving on to using two lights. So in our previous one we used mostly did a split, so now in this one we're going to start bringing in some more fills. So hope you're enjoying these tutorial series. And hit that like button and subscribe for more like this. So in our previous tutorial we created this split. So we just shot the light straight across the face with slight minor adjustments. It's quite a quick one to do. So now in this next one we're going to do split with fill. So in here they're using kind of a reflector, but we won't use a reflector, we'll just use another light. So yeah, it's going to be basically the same. So what we'll do is first create a light, area light, and just pull this up. It's going to scale it up, and I know I say this every time, but don't forget when you scale your light, you're also affecting how it affects your subject. So I'm just going to bring up my light, slightly bring it around. Not sure if pointing it makes a difference, but cool. So I'm going to Arnold, render view, and we can see our previous one here. It's squashed. There. So it's just and because we've not effectively touched any of the lights, it's going to be very underexposed. So let's go to our light, and we can start off at 5. We know this is not going to work from our previous ones, but just in case you haven't seen the previous ones, I'm just going to build it up, because you could probably quite easily go, oh, let's go 20, and it's crazy. So the exposure works differently to the intensity. So I'm going to go 14.5, and I'm going to keep it pretty much like that. So in all our previous ones, we've just been mostly working with one light and just trying to sort of get the best result from this. So now in this one, we're going to use a fill light. So a lot of you've probably heard of 3-point lighting. So at the moment, we've all only been doing 1-point lighting. So it's really important to sort of understand just lighting with one light first before going into all the other lights. It just makes it much better for you in the long run, I think. So I'm just going to rename this to my key, or you can call it your spot, key or spotlight, your main light basically, which is that one. So now we can either make another one, or we can just Control D and duplicate. And I'm just going to call this fill. Cool. And our fill just needs to be directly on the other side. So zero out my rotation. I'm going to bring it in. Just going to render, update full scene, and it's now lit from both sides. And it's actually not too bad straight away, because our distances are slightly different. If we're equal distance, it would be equally exposed, but I don't want it that. I just want to slightly change it, I think. Because if we look how we've got, I know this is not the same materials, but if we look at the nose, we only really have one highlight on one side of the face, while the rest of this is fairly diffused. There's no highlights in here, so we're creating a highlight here, which we don't really want. And it's good to make sure you focus on these, because we're not getting the desired effect we want, because we're adding another highlight. So let's see how we can reduce this. So let's bring our fill light down to 14. And we see now we're getting a much different sort of contrast in here now. Let's even go for 13.8. And obviously I can't increase my spread, but what I can do, I can scale up can see how that's changed that. I probably shouldn't. Let's take a snapshot. Because my spread can only go as far as 1. I'll just have to check that before I do it. But I can scale. And this will effectively change the spread by increasing the size of the light. What we're going to do, we don't kind of, although it's probably also because our face isn't exactly straight on, so we do need to sort of compromise with that to sort of match the face. And you can see just by scaling it up, which has increased our spread, we've massively reduced this highlight on the nose and made it much softer. We can also bring this down to 13.6. I'm only doing really small adjustments, really. Because we don't want this, because this is quite, there's not a huge amount of difference between this. This is maybe even a bit too dark now. So I'm just going to bring my spread up. See, that's getting very soft. But now I can bring my spread down on here. And I can go back a bit more. I can bring up some of this brightness. Cool. So it probably also doesn't help that we are kind of all the same. In fact, I'm going to put this up to 14. Put it back to what it was, because I think it's not that underexposed, but it's possibly that we actually need to go to our key. And let's bring down our spread so it's a bit more focused and pushing, not changing, well, it's changing the sort of intensity of the spot on it. It's not effectively changing the exposure, but it's changing the amount it's pushed onto the face, so it's making it a bit brighter. Oh, not 148. 14.8. Cool. I think we're pretty much getting there. Like I say, it's going to be very quick. It's just our first sort of dive into putting 2 extra lights in there. I lost my, not 145. Because we want to make sure it's visibly, there's a key light on this side of the face, but we don't want, because in previous ones, if we just take a snapshot, let's stop that and take a snapshot. Because that was our first one, our split, very dark, not really much light on the side, but now we can sort of see, we're still getting this split, but we can see much more of the other side of the face, basically. So, yeah, we're pretty much done with that. So that's adding in our key and our fill light. And like I said, this is pretty much, it's a very basic tutorial, but we're trying to understand how each light works in their own sort of respective way. And the best way to do that is deconstruct it in their single lights and seeing how you can create your own sort of lighting setups. Like the classic 3-point lighting pretty much is everyone's go-to, so it looks really nice. But being able to understand what each light does and how you can manipulate each one is going to give you a really good insight and quite a bit of an upper hand in lighting. Because sometimes you'll get it and they'll ask, oh, we just need to do something like this, and you'll know the sort of type of lighting that you'll need to do. But yeah, we're pretty much done. We've done our split with fill, so our key and our fill light. And yeah, we're pretty much done. So we'll move on to the next one. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Yeah, and hit that like button and subscribe for more like this.